All right, so welcome everyone today to my webinar on how to make your LinkedIn profile stand out. I definitely appreciate everyone taking the time on this Friday morning to join me as we talk a little bit about what makes a great profile on LinkedIn, how to make a great first impression, and hopefully these will help increase your search and broaden your social network using the tool. So we do just have about 15 minutes to spend together. So hopefully you had a chance to review the information that I sent out. And Jamie, I didn't know you were coming, so I apologize. I didn't give you a heads up on some things. I have a couple activities planned, so you might just have to do a quick thinking on your feet, but it shouldn't be too challenging. So essentially, I'm going to share just a couple tips on how to make a really great first impression. Hopefully, everyone has some familiarity with the social network. You're on it. Maybe you don't use it that much. Maybe you use it all the time. But I'm really hoping that this can be a collaborative effort for all of us, and we can share knowledge with one another, and then hopefully take what we're learning here today to our fellow classmates and even some colleagues at work. So my goal is with this webinar and a couple of our exercises that we have planned is to really just get you thinking about how you can take what we learned today and use it to your advantage on how you use your network. I think as I mentioned, I'm hoping that this helps increase your search because that's really important to be on LinkedIn. Increases your credibility and ultimately broaden your social network online. So before we really get started, I'm just going to go through a couple of logistical things about the webinar. We'll talk a little bit about the agenda, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll kind of get right into the meat and potatoes of everything. So I am going to, this might be a little challenging because I think Amy is not able to use a mic. So I'll be toggling back and forth between this view and the full screen view. So just a couple of logistical things about this webinar. I ask that you guys do use the chat box. We'll have a chance to talk face-to-face as well. And I also asked if you can hold your questions till the end. You can jot them down or put them in the chat box, but I did carve out some time at the very end so that we can do a questions and answers since there isn't a whole lot of time today. The other thing is I ask that you mute your mics while I'm presenting. I think everybody is on mute at this point, so thank you, just to decrease background noise and some distractions. So I'll let you know to unmute your mic, or if you are talking and you are not on mute, or on mute, I guess. And then lastly, this webinar is being recorded, and I do plan to have the replay and a link to these slides available when we're finished. So our agenda for today, I have a group activity planned that we'll do first, kind of around robin. And then we'll talk a little bit about just a couple ingredients or elements of what I think make a really great LinkedIn profile, followed up by 3 very basic, high-level tips that I think are really important to get you started. And even if you're a seasoned LinkedIn user, maybe go back and just do a check and a refresher. That may help a little bit moving forward. And then I have another collaboration activity for us to do. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we'll follow up the webinar with a Q&A. So just to let you guys know a little bit about myself, I think I know most of you guys on the webinar, but I am an instructional designer graduate student, and I think I'm officially about halfway through the program. I'm planning on graduating next May. And I also do social media marketing for IBM. So part of my job and my role is educating and enabling colleagues on social media tips and best practices. And so LinkedIn has been surfacing for quite some time now. And so I thought this would be a really great opportunity to use this to help my colleagues and hopefully maybe help you guys too. And also, I hope that I can get some tips from you all today as well. So I'm going to exit this mode because I think Amy, you're going to need to use the chat. So the first exercise I have planned today is I wanted to do a round robin. I wanted everybody to just take a moment and tell me in a few words why you're on LinkedIn. And if you're not on LinkedIn, maybe why you would recommend to someone to be on LinkedIn, or maybe why you should be on LinkedIn. And so my goal here with this is that, I really want you guys to think about, why you do really use this. There's a lot of social networks out there. I find LinkedIn to be extremely beneficial and valuable to me personally, more so than some of the other ones. And then how the information that we talked a little bit more about on our webinar today is applicable to your goals and needs on the social networks. So I see somebody has opened the chat here. Okay, so Amy is not on LinkedIn. So great, I'm glad that you're here today to learn a little bit more about the social network. See, Jonathan is on the LinkedIn network for business networking purposes. And Joni and Jamie, do you want to share? Either via chat or microphone?
Yeah, Emily, I'm for LinkedIn, for instructional design folks, that seems to be where our tribe is. And so if for the business networking that was brought up, if that's where your people are, then it's a good place to at least have some sort of profile, some sort of presence there in order to be part of that larger community of practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Jamie, you have a LinkedIn account, but you don't use it. So you could use some tips. Well, awesome. I was actually thinking that everybody on here would be on the tool and we would just be talking about things you already know. So that's exciting that you guys are here to find out more. So as I mentioned, I use LinkedIn. I don't know if actually I mentioned it, but I've been on the social network, I think, since like 2005. And I have found it extremely valuable in networking and finding job opportunities. And one of my goals now, as I am becoming an instructional designer and kind of my background now in social media, is to really expand on and grow my thought leadership and presence within that social network. So I'm going to switch back over to this mode. And so this next slide here, I just wanted to include a couple what I thought were really compelling stats that I found online, just to kind of put into perspective, as Joni kind of touched on this specifically in our area, this is where you want to be, and a lot of people are here. Millions of people are on the social network around the world. The majority of recruiters are now going to this social network to find candidates and prospects to fill positions that they have in queue. So kind of looking at these stats and thinking a little bit more on maybe why you want to use LinkedIn, I wanted to share just a few ingredients, or I guess elements, that I think really make a great profile. And so the first one is you want to make sure that you are a parent and in the right market. You want to make it easy for people that visit your profile to want to connect with you, see what you're all about, and make that first connection. The second thing, which is extremely important, and if you've taken Joni's social media class, then you will know that search is super important online. You want to be able to be findable. You want to be able to be searchable. If people can't find you, then I don't think there's even a point to waste your time being on the social network. And then the third one is you want to make yourself look credible. You want to have a good reputation. You want to make it evident and pretty quickly at first glance that you know your stuff. And so why is all this important? Well, we all know face-to-face, a first impression is everything. And when you're online, I think it's even more important because, when we meet people face-to-face, we can at least judge them by body language or, their smile or kind of their tone, how they're talking. But online, we don't get any of that. We have a picture and we have some text. So, you really want to make sure that when people come to your profile, they think really great things about you. So I'm going to share just a few tips. They're really easy and they might seem like a no-brainer, but I think they're really important to get you started. So the first one is you want to use a professional looking profile. And that doesn't mean, I would say, even if you can't get a professional photo taken, try to use one that it's just you, you look nice. You're not like at a concert or out camping or, at the bar with your friends or whatever. And you want to make sure it's just you. There's nobody else in the photo. And you want to make sure that you actually have a photo. A lot of people will not engage with you or accept a connection if you're like this mysterious default profile photo. And I just included a stat here that, in fact, your profile is 11 times more likely to have visitors and views if you have a photo. And then the second tip that I wanted to share is just make sure that you have a really great headline. Your profile photo and your headline are really the first two things that someone's going to see, either when they're searching for something or you come up as a connection that they might want to connect with, or when someone visits your profile. That's the first thing that they're going to see. So you want to make sure that you're using specific keywords. If you have, if you're like a best-selling author or keynote speaker, you can use kind of those buzzwords. But I mean, for me personally, I'm not either one of those. So I tried to include, the 4 things that I want to be known for. And they also correlate with my website. So I'm trying to keep everything together. So I come up, in all of those different searches. And again, this does help establish credibility right away. And it also will help optimize your profile for when people are looking you up. And then the third tip, which seems also kind of like a no-brainer, but I think it's extremely important, is to include contact information. So you make a connection with someone on LinkedIn, and let's say it's a recruiter. So you want to make sure that they can find you outside of the platform. So include your email. If you're on Twitter, definitely include your Twitter ID, and put your website up there so people can learn more about you. I think that there are some default options when you go in to update your website. I think there's like a professional website or a personal website. And so I recommend personalizing that a little bit more. So it looks a little bit more professional. I have Portfolio on mine because that's essentially what my website is at this point. And then the other thing is, so when you create a LinkedIn account, you automatically get a LinkedIn URL. I also recommend customizing that. As you can see, I kind of have mine the same as my email and my Twitter ID, and actually my website is that too, even though I only have one Y in my last name. There's a lot of Emily Mays out there. But this also helps kind of make it easy to remember and looks a little bit more professional as well. And then I'm going to exit out of this screen here. So the next activity that I had planned for you guys, and let me just, Jamie, so you have it. I created a Google Doc. And so I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to add in some of these tips. This is similar to the exercise that we did earlier in the semester with Joni and the webinar tips. And so if we want to hop over there, I have it pulled up too. I can see some of you guys are in here. If you want to just add some of these profile tips that we already discussed today, I've also included a URL here as a sort of a cheat sheet. There's a ton of LinkedIn tips that you could go there and grab. Or I challenge you also, after we're done here, to go off and do a Google search and find some quick profile tips that you can add to the document that hopefully this will grow and become sort of a knowledge base for us on this webinar, maybe our fellow classmates. I know I'm definitely going to use this in my workplace. So yeah, I'll pause for a moment and let you guys fill it in, and if you wouldn't mind putting your name beside it too, that'd be awesome. And one other thing to mention about this document, it can be more than just profile tips. I added a couple sections here, but we can definitely add on to it. There's way more to LinkedIn and being able to use it than just connecting with people, joining discussion groups. You can blog on there. Ways to connect to people. There's kind of a certain etiquette to it. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to do with LinkedIn. Yeah, these are great. Awesome. All right, well, I know we're getting over time here, so I wanted to open it up for questions and answers. And if you guys want to share your LinkedIn profile, add it to the chat box so we can all connect. And Amy, I'm going to come after you and see if when you've made your profile. I'm just kidding. I won't, but I might. Did anybody have any questions or comments, things they want to add? All right. Well, again, I really appreciate everyone joining me today, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Oh, we've got a chat. Nice. Thank you. And definitely let me know if you have any other questions. I am by no means an expert, but I can definitely help you find the answers that you might be looking for. So connect with me afterwards, and hopefully we can get our LinkedIn document tip sheet looking great. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good one.